Good morning, all you amazing, beautiful people out there on YouTube. How are you doing? This is TaraLeeLive and Drake, and we are here for the morning show. We are here to wake and bake and hang out with y'all. We're going to be chatting it up about what we've got going on in our grow, some interviews we got coming up, some meetings we've been in, and all kinds of stuff we got going on. So if you think someone's interested in this video or might be interested in learning about growing or natural farming, please share this video out because we need your help to grow this channel. And Drake, how are you today?
I am doing awesome. I found my little brooding duck that was sick and tired of me taking her eggs. So she went and ventured off around the property and found a nice hedge to go hide under. So it's been like a week that we've known, because she takes off and then she comes back for a little bit. She'll come and she'll hang out, and she's the only one who can parkour up and over the fence. She just doesn't care. Little sugar badger or whatever, honey badger duck. So she just goes right up over, flaps over, and takes off. So I found her this morning. She slipped up and she squawked at me. So I was excited about that.
Isn't it funny how those fowl can like escape out of fences? Like I have geese that like do that. They'll just go up and over a little fence.
She just runs. It's chicken wire and it's got bird netting over it. So like the other two ducks are like, nah, nothing. I don't want nothing to do with that. But she doesn't care. She just flaps and kind of runs up it while she's flying, and then she'll sit on top of it, kind of like she's mocking you, and kind of like just swing there for a little bit and hang, and then she'll take off, go for a walk, do her thing. She don't care. So hopefully I just well, not hopefully, I know I'm going to grab these eggs before she hatches them, because I don't need a whole gang of little babies running around here.
No, you don't.
So
and if you are turning in live today, make sure you have it up on live chat, not top chat, or you'll miss some of the comments. Welcome, Mark. How are you today? Let's take a dab. I'm ready to go in on this lemon juicy solventless double hash rosin.
Juicy, nice.
Lemon juicy. We're gonna get some lemon juicy all over.
Last kind of juice we had was garlic juice, and it was delicious, and it packed a punch.
Nice. What's everybody else smoking on? What's everybody doing out there? Got a nice glass of cold water. Sounds good. Tastes good, actually. Woo! Okay, I'm heating up. What's up, CBC? How are you?
All right.
What is y'all doing?
Oh, I need cane. I remember. I didn't fill up last night. It's just the last straw.
Pardon?
Oh, I had to. The last night I ran out. It was just barely squeaked that last dab out of the torch. So.
Oh, gotcha.
Fill her up.
All right.
I'm really liking this black garlic. I know I keep talking about it, but it's the black garlic from Jordan of the Islands. There's a few different phenos I found in the packs, and oh my goodness, this one I call the fruity pheno, but it's still heavy garlic. Got this kind of like little like garlicky fuel vibe to it, with a bit of this nuke-y Romulan citrus that it finishes off with, and just leaves a nice taste in your palate.
Nice. Cheers, everybody. Ooh, I went a little hot. Ooh. CBC's going back to sleep.
Must have been a good dab. Ooh, that one sure was. I'll tell you what. I've been busy this morning. I woke up super early. Had a vet appointment for the puppy to get its last booster shot. So wanted to give him a nice bath, get him all clean this morning. So he did that, and got a nice thick coat. So it takes about 45 minutes, even at his size now, to blow dry him off, but he loves it. Got into that and then whipped up some more JMS. Been JMSing up a storm. That was good. Whew.
Awesome. Awesome possum. Oh, we got Dragonfly tuning in. What's up, family? How are you out there? They're coming on. Awesome. Great. See you in a bit.
Get a little update. I always love to hear what's cracking in their neck of the woods.
Garden update from the Dragonfly. Josh and Kevin. What's up, Cosmic Ray? Cheers. How are you? We got Sammy Sis turning in. Good morning, Sammy. Woo! I'm recovering from that dab.
I'm in the same boat. It's just my mouth. It's just scratching at my vocal cords here. I just want to hack. Like,
woo, first dab of the day. Feels good though.
Yeah, we got a good first dab.
Hello, Ian. How are you today? One thing I wanted to do really quick at the beginning of this episode is, oh, here comes my dog. I wanted to throw out a little bit of grow advice for beginner growers. Don't buy Miracle-Gro. Okay. Learn from mistakes that other people have already made. I definitely made the mistake. We have a friend that is growing with Miracle-Gro, and it just stunts your plant. There's something in that shit that your plant just doesn't do healthy. If you want to use Miracle-Gro, that's for your tomatoes. Actually, I don't even want you to use Miracle-Gro, but that's for tomatoes, like tomatoes and peppers. And if you're a vegetable gardener, and you think you should grow with the same stuff, don't, because it's wrong. Cannabis is a whole nother beast, and anybody can grow it. Don't get me wrong. Anybody can grow it like a tomato, but not everybody can grow good cannabis. And there's a lot of little tricks in there that a lot of people kind of leave out. So one thing I just wanted, if you're a new grower, don't buy any Miracle-Gro. Save your money.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've seen some decent cannabis produced from it, because I mean, it is a weed. It'll grow if you give it the love, but the amount of energy you're gonna have to spend to learn how to make what we're saying is an inferior growing medium work, you might as well just, spend that time on something else that's going to be a lot more cost efficient, a lot more beneficial for yourself, for the planet, for everyone around you. And things like, maybe you spend a little bit more on that initial actual soil that's living with life in it, and just an abundance of goodness. You spend a little more up front, but with some of these cool techniques, well, now you're just going to add a little bit of mulch at the end of the year and do a couple things. So then the next season, you're not going out and buying more soil and raking away everything off the top and doing all the effort, doing all this little weeding and stuff you normally do. We can change that, make it a lot easier, and use these other techniques that we're practicing. And there's a plethora of them on top of those ones that are also great and a lot better option than some of the conventional off-the-shelf shenanigans that are out there.
Exactly. And I'm super excited to be learning about the Jadam natural farming JNF team. JNF, by the way, y'all, if you want to join our Jadam natural farming team, we are getting a Discord set up soon. We will be opening it up. I'm super excited. We've got some pictures we'll be loading on there. You'll be seeing some of the garden updates that we'll be doing. We'll be having weekly updates for you on there as well. And you get to see pictures and chat with us live. So it's pretty fun. I'm looking forward to that. Drake, did you have anything to add on that?
Pertaining to that specifically, no, I don't think so. I'm ready for another dab just about, so I'm
Okay.
definitely inclined to hop into that and railroad the conversation. But hey, sometimes we need a good railroading.
Awesome. Imed made it. Hello. Happy medicators. Hello. Hey, Stu. Welcome. How are you? Oh my gosh. That looks like cookie dough.
Yeah,
like
and it's
chocolate cookie dough.
Second press, 70 to 120.
Like chocolate chip cookie dough minus the chocolate chips. That's what I meant to say. I love chocolate chip cookie dough. That sounds good.
It's got a very similar consistency, actually. So, all right.
Pro tip for new growers. New growers should use cocoa core and chemical nutrients so they learn what not to do on your third grow. Switch to living soil.
That's so funny. And hey, just one second.
Speaking of which, if you do grow with cocoa core, and if you're thinking about going with cocoa core, it is very hard to grow in. You have to follow like everything exactly. Like it's weird. It's a weird beast. I don't like it because it's not natural and it's not letting a plant express its natural things when you're doing things like that. So it's not for me. It's definitely not for me.
Tailoring exactly what you want to give to the plant, what the plant needs. It's a lot more of
expensive too. It's not cheap.
It dries out a lot faster, which is, I mean, it's definitely bad and good for new people, because if you mess up something substantially, you can start amending that a lot quicker because it dries out so much faster. So you can just get your straight water, so on and so forth. But in the same sense, there's a lot of parameters. Once you start getting into it, there's just ABs that you can follow and flow with. But like we're saying and preaching, we love to just build our own happy soil that just gets better and better and better every time that we don't have to replace.
I do have a little something that I have to share with y'all. I screwed up on my Jadam mixing, and my bucket wasn't as big as I thought it was. I thought it was a 2-gallon bucket, and it was like shy of a 2-gallon bucket. I was measuring it wrong. Yep. So I was putting way too much JMS in it, and I already had my JMS like max. Like I'm already using the microbial a lot. Yeah. So the microbial solution is already maxed, and in that microbial solution there's salt. So when you put too much of that in there, you're basically feeding your plant salt water, kind of like, in a way, like, so you're giving something thirsty like all this too much salt.
It definitely
and it's like you being parched and drinking seawater, right? And you're so you kind of got to put it in that kind of terminology, and it makes it easier for me to understand. But I parched my plants. I screwed up totally. So I yellowed the leaves. They looked like shit, but if they would have been in cocoa, they would have been dead. So I was lucky I was in living soil.
For sure. Then it works the opposite way. Depending on your size bed and pots, it takes a little bit longer to dry out. So if you make a boo-boo, you can't necessarily just flood the thing, or it's going to be oversaturated. And that's kind of like the number one issue a lot of people have with the plants. We want to talk about some tips for beginner growers. It's overwatering. And watering improperly. I should say under too, but most people don't underwater. Most people, it's given it a little too much.
Overwater, number one thing.
So yeah, that's a great tip as well. But you do have the lovely buffer of the microbes, which you're getting at. So when we have a little bit of an oopsie there, we've got all that life to help sort everything out in the soil in kind of layman's terms.
Yeah.
Hey, one opposite thing that can also work in a little bit of a detrimental way, and say for even myself, who had made a semi-super soil, living soil. Shout out to Tribal Gardens. It's very similar to exactly what they were rocking. And because I've got that soil in one of the beds that hasn't ran yet, it's fresh. It was just cooked for about 3 months now is how long it ended up waiting. If I add a whole bunch of any microbial solution, but specifically our Jadam microbial solution to that, and then plant in it, I'm going to find that all my stuff is way too hot. It's gonna burn. So I'm gonna put it on top in a proper layer, even though my plants are of good size. But just due to that chelation and all the properties that the microbes have, if you put it into a soil that's already essentially hot and ready and good to go, you can overdo it really easily. So it's an issue of the salinity most times, because we're over applying and there's too much salt. And then occasionally, if you've got a really solid, happy environment, you can actually provide too many nutrients. Too much, there'll be over chelation. So
good to know. Thanks for sharing that, Drake.
All right.
Dab time. Perfect time. Dab PI just showed up. Let's do this. Love it.
And I guess one other thing we can touch on too with that is we're also working, like you said, on the kind of the max end of parameters with this, like as heavy as we could go, because we've been doing some foundational work. And generally, maybe you could just play a little safer, and you're never going to come across those risks, even if you make a minor boo-boo. Because with this, you can extend things a long, long, long ways, which is awesome and kind of why we like it as well. All this natural farming goes a long way.
Cheers. Ooh, that's a good one. That lemon is strong. Hit me right there. Now it's tart. Feeling the tart.
Creeping up.
Tart. Woo. That was good. That was a good one.
Yeah, the second press leaves a little bit of that, like, oops, I accidentally sipped on the wrong jug in the mechanics shop. That wasn't my coffee kind of vibe. Like, it's very interesting and kind of foul. And we had a 40U specifically that was full spectrum. That was just raunchy, like real nasty, but really pleasant effects. Same thing though, just like you sipped on something, some concoction of brews from an automotive shop.
All right, got the banger all cleaned out, ready to go for the next one.
Yeah, good old paper towel tech.
I've been using my hemp stick tech, or my cannabis stick tech and paper towel.
I like it.
I am out of Q-tips, and I'm actually thinking about not ordering Q-tips.
Well, you're just
actually thinking about just using my hemp stick or my sticks and reason that. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
I like it.
Try it. Well, so as a regenerative person, we talk about being regenerative all the time and about growing naturally or growing organically, or what does this actually mean to people? If everybody in chat, if you could say a few words about what regenerative means to you or what you think regenerative looks like. I would like you in chat, if you could write that down for me and tell me in the next few minutes here, what your kind of definition of it is. And for me, I'm going to talk a little bit about what it looks like for me. As a person that is recovering from cancer, having ovarian cancer. For those of you who didn't know, I had a total hysterectomy. It looks like something different because I know that I don't want to put chemicals into my body. I know that I need to live a lot cleaner and I need to eat a lot healthier, because it isn't about killing everything. It's about being healthier and being able to overcome things and not get them, be healthier and not get them, and nobody's talking about that as regenerative living and it's just as growing and worrying about what I put in my plant for how I treat myself with medicine. I also want to worry about what I'm eating and what I consume and what I'm putting in my mouth. And some of us out there care more about the water we water our plants with than the water we drink ourselves. Or are we even consuming enough water? How much is our body is water, y'all. If you want to lose weight, you want to become healthier, you want to look better, drink water. Let's start there. We all know that. So as a regenerative grower, I want to change and be a regenerative, a lifestyle. And I want to change and become more self-sufficient and self-sustainable and take care of myself and listen to myself. And those are just kind of some of the things that I think about when I think about being regenerative. And it's buying things that I can use longer and I'm not going to throw them in the landfill.
From them, right?
Yeah. Or how was that made? Was that made right? Did that company support something that I did? It isn't just rowing. So it's a little different for me. Jake, do you want to talk a little bit on that? I'll let you share. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think you summed it up really nicely, and I'd love to hear a few other people's perspectives and kind of leave everyone to have their own kind of, coming to revelations with it. But yeah, it's very, very similar to what you were just saying, right? It's about thinking about everything on a whole. It's not just one aspect. It is about being a steward or stewardess of the planet, and growing is one aspect of that. But then there is the whole other sector. And with with this day and age, we got a lot of get it shipped right now. Everything arrives sometimes triple boxed inside of a couple plastic packages, and it's it's unfortunate. And the convenience level versus some of the other things that are out there just aren't available, right? Sometimes people are put in the position where they have to go that route just because they simply can't afford to go the other route. So it's just getting more of the idea or more of the concept out to everyone, even if they can't specifically change too many things themselves, but just to kind of understand the system a lot more and see that we are set up in a way that is pushing against the planet and not for it. And, I'm learning more and more as it goes, right? Like I have so much and so much to improve and so many places to tighten up and button up. But it's really exciting to learn about it and be able to kind of help bring that understanding to everyone else out there. And there's a lot of different perspectives on what it is, but occasionally we hear certain individuals' perspectives and use of like the regenerative terms and principles, and it's not necessarily in line really with what it's about, because it is a whole picture kind of thing. So as much as I said I wasn't going to say anything and then went on rambling like I always do, there's my input on the subject. I think I gotta take a dab again.
Dab says amazing. I love it, Drake. Thanks for sharing. And we've got some good comments in chat. I want to go back and read.
Speaking of chat, make sure you're on live chat, not top chat.
Yes.
If you're just tuning in.
Thank you, Drake.
And a little thumbs up wouldn't hurt. Sharing it. It's hard to get to
Bingo
cannabis content out there.
Yes, please share if you guys think someone might like the channel. We'd appreciate it. Love to grow this channel and get more of you out there. Farming and grazing practices, among other benefits, reverse climate change by rebuilding soil organic matter and restoring degraded soil biodiversity, resulting in both carbon drawdown. Nice. I love it, Bingo. I love it. That's awesome. Love it. And Smash Cannabis says, I want to be able not, good God, why don't I not read, right?
Not buy anything anymore, right? Be able to come from my land, compost worms and gardens. So
exactly.
That's
yeah, that's exactly me. I don't want to buy things anymore. I really don't. I want to wildcraft. I want to source them from my land or out back in my natural environment. I'm so lucky that I live where I do live. I am able to have chickens and I'm able to, have a garden that I have. I want to inspire you all. If you don't have like a garden area, at least plant a plant. Have some plants around you. Have some greenery around you. It's amazing just to have some life like that around you to kind of take care of, it kind of cheers you up a little bit. Flowering plants really cheer me up. Of course, I think that's a girl thing, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I find myself stopping and smelling the tiniest of little flowers out in the fields, and I think it definitely goes both ways. But maybe some people are just too proud to go and sniff the flower. But I tell you, lots of them smell really good.
Yes. Take time to stop and smell the roses, right? I love it.
Exactly.
I love it. Cheddar Bob, welcome. Hey, Cheddar Bob. I talked about you in one of the shows a while back. It was your wife that is a apothecary, right? I don't want to murder that. If she would like to come on or, talk about anything, we'd love to have her on, or you guys or whatever, let me know. There was something that we had that I was going to ask him. I can't remember.
I got a couple more things in chat to address while you
go ahead.
Think of it. We've got Dab PIY saying, yes, it's all about less inputs and outputs, closing the loops more and more, increase the microbial diversity, both inside and outside. And that can be taken in always inside of us and outside, and inside of the insides and outsides of the planet, our homes, everywhere. It's do as much as we can. And there's another, without going too much off on a tangent, for all the indoor growers, such as even myself and many out there, there's not a lot we can do to make all of a sudden the indoors outdoors unless we remove our home. So that's not very feasible. But what you can do is kind of start looking at these new technologies and new practices and seeing, hey, we can actually do these kind of living soil beds indoors with LEDs. And there's a lot of sustainable ways to go. So that's just like one way that you can work in a positive direction, even though you don't necessarily have like the some people just can't go grow outside after. There's not going to be that 100% end goal unless you relocate, but at least you're doing something. And if everyone does that, it's going to be real beneficial as a whole. So that's fantastic. And then we also had Mark Hogue saying recycled soil, composted yard waste, and his worms compost allows him to make clean cannabis and vegetables to feed his body, spirit, and not feed the cancer. And I'm not sure how to take that as well. If you've got cancer, but love and best wishes to you. Love and best wishes to you either way. But hopefully you do not. And if you do, hopefully it keeps at bay, and your cannabis can kick it right in the butt. It's time for that last dab I spoke about that I never took.
Very well said, Drake. Thank you for addressing everybody in chat. Mark, yes, best wishes to you if you're struggling with that right now. And I am going to go in.
There's another point. There is much more.
Some tangy.
Nice.
Pardon, Drake.
Oh, sorry for digging and cutting you off. I just also wanted to address that I am like a goldfish upstairs. It's real bad, kind of good, depending on how you look at it. But if I don't write it down, I generally don't remember too much, and that's why with lots of these practices, we're having to go, myself head first. But if we do ever hear things and get some information and I don't recall or misspeak on it, my apologies in advance. I forget things at an incredibly fast rate sometimes. So. Hey, and with that, perfect time and coming in with a bong rip. Look how beautiful. Cheers, Josh.
I'm so excited.
Now, show me, and
check that out. Hello. Look at that. Cheers, Josh.
How you doing? I'm trying to get my stuff situated here.
That's okay. We'll give you a minute.
Came in with style, don't worry.
Hell yeah.
Not too many people come in 3/4 the way ripped. That's great.
Especially a big ass bong like that.
How are you this morning?
We are doing fantastic. What about yourself or yourselves?
Mostly super good.
And then just a little bit even better than that?
Today, I'm really, really good. Yesterday, I had a really hard day because I can't stand listening to mindless, brainless logging. Brainless, mindless trees just collapsing next to my land drives me fucking crazy. And I can't do anything about it. It's one of the hardest things. Like, there's a lot of hard shit out there, but just watching mindless destruction of our habitat after walking down these roads all the time, listening to owls, watching ravens building their nests in there and stuff. And then just like some guy shows up saying, oh, it's high wood prices, check it in. I'm getting mine. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to sell it afterwards. And that kind of thing drives me crazy.
Big money somehow always sneaks in, but we're working together, especially people like yourselves, right? Really inspiring the masses and to slowly just keep taking things back and preventing stuff like this from going on, as soon as we can. We'll do what we can.
So everybody go plant a tree.
Thank you. I think it's incredibly important. Everyone talks about polyculture and everyone talks about companion planting. And the first thing you do is start talking about comfrey and nettles and different things, which are super awesome. But like trees, so many kinds, so many of them bloom. Every time there's a bird's nest in there. And extreme temperatures are curbed by environment. So when you create a food forest or a forest buffer or tree buffer around your zone, I mean, you're doing so much. You're helping the groundwater, you're helping shade, you're helping canopy succession. Trees are extremely important and really valuable. So are bushes. Perennials are a big focus for us on our land. Ones that come back every year
and
that don't take any energy.
One of the biggest things is, like, I don't have any children, but y'all out there that have children should care about your grandkids, kids, and all those kids. They should have all this trees and they should have all this beautiful environment to be able to see. That's what I think is sad, is that the generations after us, that we should take care of this and we should leave this land better than when we came into it. That's how I have always been taught. We go out camping with my family or however I was raised. You don't leave shit. You don't leave trash around. You always pick up and you leave it better than you found it. You know,
Really important. Yeah, bringing extra bags because there's always garbage somewhere.
there
It doesn't
is.
matter where I even walk on my own property. I'm like, where the hell is this plastic coming from? Like, it's not much, but I'm picking up plastic anytime I see it, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good because in life, a little intention goes a long way. Like often there's not intention happening. And in the case of the logging I'm talking about, we're talking about logging the middle of a community. I'm not talking about utilitarian logging in the woods where there's places that can happen. I'm talking about having sanctuaries. I'm talking about virgin forest like the Fairy Creek forest over on Vancouver Island. I'm talking about virgin forest that will not be replaced. We can say that if humanity is wiped out, then maybe it'll replace itself, but we are not capable of letting land live for longer than 100 years without feeling like we got to go in and manage it and make it something that it's not doing on its own. And I just reject that. I reject that. But I will say, on the antithesis of the mindless, brainless destruction that's happening around here, incredible creation is happening on our land, and devotion to the natural systems of life still exist on our land. And everyone on our land is very healthy, very charged up, very vital. I'm drinking the standard cocoa that we drink every day, which has medicinal mushrooms in it, because every single day is a day to be healthy. Every single day there's a pandemic happening. Doesn't matter whether the news is covering it or not. There's sicknesses or travel in the world and organisms are going crazy, and we got to be healthy. What are we going to ask everyone else to make us healthy? Not good enough. We have to take charge of our life and bring health into our world. We need to to hear the teachings. Packaged food happens, but the more you can eat whole foods, the better. Not from Whole Foods, the store, whole foods like potatoes and broccoli and salad and all those things, even ganja, eating it. Take a bong hit, take a bite.
I love it.
Beautiful. Preach it, Josh. Oh my God. These words are so beautiful this morning. And the rainbow shirt that you have on and so inspiring. And I for some reason, I have this Canadian shirt on today.
Hey, there you go.
There you go, from Montreal. I got it.
Thanks for Montreal. Montreal's
so
very progressive out there. We appreciate them when they be progressive.
And got the big moose on here, and it helps me think of Tribal Gardens. Tribal went out and picked up a whole bunch of moose poop, so I just had to think of Tribal Gardens. It should have some poop coming out.
That would be nice. Finally, someone would recognize the magic.
Yeah, everything poops. Poop's important. We need poop.
You know what? I'm going to tell you another thing that's just a mind blower to me.
Okay,
like,
let's hear it.
I'm reading in Oregon about these new laws, with the whole Bill Gates thing having to do with like climate change and this whole new thing of climate change, which is like, hey, who doesn't want to help the climate? But if you're talking about creating lab tested meat as the answer to climate change, now I'm going to take a pause on that, So in Oregon, they're talking about outright banning meat altogether. Like no more raising of any animals. You can't sell meat, no more in Oregon type of a law that they're trying to pass up there. And then there's also laws in the UK and in the world where they've banned compost. And that's why I'm talking about, like, you're talking about this manure and everything, like, and I'm talking to pure certified farmers like in Switzerland and different places. Like in Europe, they're stacked on top of each other so hard they can't find pieces of land. It's hard as hell to collect raw materials, and now you can't use compost.
What is the?
And I know Europe is not the UK, and there's a huge distinction there. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of people in the UK too, but they're talking about banning the use of compost in agriculture.
Why? Just for microbes in general? They're just, is that the?
Oh yeah, for the same reason that they've banned raw milk. The whole entire purpose of them saying, oh, if it's raw, it's dangerous to humanity and it needs to be pasteurized. I honestly believe we're in a war against microbiology. If you just boil all the stuff down, like all the stuff, when you look at allopathic medicine, the number one thing that does is take biology away. And then it's like abusive because then you have to look to, like, in their system, look to them to build you back up. That's just weird. And then you look at, if you drive across America right now and you get into Nebraska or Iowa or North Dakota, South Dakota, and I'm sure in Canada too, I just haven't driven across Canada. There's mountains of compost around that are now just degrading the environment around you. While meanwhile, they're, instead of using the manure in organic or regenerative agriculture, they're replacing that with synthetic fertilizer, like Miracle-Gro type stuff. So they've taken biology away. Everyone in the cannabis industry is trying to build fungi because everyone's soil, no one has fungi because, and now all the biology that you'd be using to eat raw materials to build fungi are banned.
Was this like blanket compost too? And I don't mean to interject, but I'm like, is this like if you go pile some hay up outside now or is this just like manure compost? Or I'm just trying to get my head around
livestock compost.
Livestock compost.
Definitely livestock compost. I don't think, they're not saying you can't have like a food compost near, but
Just
they probably are.
But it's almost, it's
probably
just crazy.
I don't actually know I don't know the parameters. I didn't read deeper into it. I think I'm challenging the community to look into it and decide what they think. Do I like factory farming of animals? Of course. I mean, come on, But if you find someone who's regeneratively farming animals and they have fields, I mean, come on, let's just put parameters on it, And yeah, we don't have to eat so much meat. Like, people don't have to have meat every meal. It's okay. You're not going to die. It's okay.
So just like we're talking diversity in our lands, we need diversity in our bodies. There are other forms of protein other than meat. Other forms of protein that are really good for us at other times of the year. Like, I guess if you think about like our ancestors and how they used to things, like they couldn't store meat for long periods of time. So they ate meat when they had meat, and then they ate beans or they ate rice or they made other things that have protein that's just as healthy and just as good. And I really feel like it was like this 80s movement where like the whole propaganda with media got out there and like really pushed this meat, more meat and steaks, because it drove up the prices in the meat industry, because that's where the sales were, that was with the marketing. And how do you make more money? You sell more food, you make the plates bigger, so people pay more. And that's just, it's a money economy, and that's just how it's gone about. And we really don't need to eat as much red meat or chicken, white meat, whatever kind of meat that we have. We could substitute it with a lot healthier things. And that's what I'm learning as I'm going through all this.
It's really interesting because I've had long conversations with regenerative cow farmers because it's a big thing, Joel Salatin and the whole polyface farm concept and stuff. It's awesome. Like, if we only all had 120 acres to like just move our animals around every single day, then that would actually be complete health. Now, that genre of farmer has this tendency to believe that the food farmer is actually a detriment to the environment, and that the cow farmer is the one thing that's actually good for the environment when they're moving the cows every day and when they're not degrading the grass and the topsoil. Now, we have to have food. So what he's saying is like when you look at a monoculture of carrots or a monoculture of lettuce or whatever, you're displacing wildlife, right? Like to have a food farm or a cannabis farm, like an acre, even an acre cannabis farm, normally in Oregon, say, you're displacing nature somehow because now you're just all you're doing is growing weed. But I think that is exactly why everyone promotes polyculture, because it doesn't have to be that you're displacing nature. I think that it can be that you're enhancing nature. I see it. Like we're growing farm with trees intermingled and superfood berries and ganja and potatoes and everything's growing together and wildlife's going crazy. And we don't have fences. So actually deer, unfortunately, horribly so, they walk through our yard every damn day. So like we've organized our gardens in a way that allows some walkthrough of deer because they don't eat all of our stuff, including weed. Luckily here in British Columbia, part where we live, deer don't eat our weed. Like in California, it's going to be one of the top things that deer eat, because I have a good friend here who just said he got a deer out of the fence. A deer died in the cannabis fence, right? He's like, you know what? I'm going to go harvest this deer and keep the meat. Put it in the freezer. He opened up the stomach and there was pounds of buds. The deer just been eating buds all day.
Wow.
It probably got disorientated from eating weed and potentially just freaked out and went in the fence and died. I mean, that's sad, right? But up here, that's not the case. So you can't really just put parameters on gardens. It's very much so bioregional, you know? Some people probably don't even see a deer for fucking 100 miles it takes for them to go see a deer. But in our situation here, we've found a way to produce a lot of food and medicine in harmony with nature. And I think that it's a really good teaching, and anyone can do it. So the one argument I'm going back to is, if you have just a cow in your backyard, there's no way you're going to feed the cow. You can't feed the cow, and the cow's going to turn your backyard into a mud pit. You could survive on a multi-layered food backyard. You could. You would have to work hard at. You'd be certain roots, and you'd have to maybe do raised beds and things, you know. You could, you know what I mean? So maybe if you work together, and one person had a cow in their backyard, the other person had a backyard that fed the cow, and then the other. So now all of a sudden community makes sense. So I think we just need to work together, you know what I mean, to solve the problems. And I do see that we're doing that. And that's one of the reasons why I come on this show, and I appreciate you, TaraLee, your whole audience of every person that loves you, and Drake. And we appreciate you because you put that foot forward that says, hey, we can do it ourselves.
And
because I don't believe in the system.
And with smaller groups like ourselves, like, I mean, even like you guys, you're as far as like the industry goes, you're you're revered by so many people, and just like looked at as you know, you're superstars in a sense because of what you're doing. Almost like not to try and inflate tires stuff, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like you just do so much, and it's really inspiring for a lot of people. But then if you now look at it from the other hand, and you look who you're competing with, in a sense, you're not even there. Almost, right? Like, and not to put you down now, but it's like these big corporates, just like they wouldn't even scoff and think about the size where you're at. Whereas like for us, for the industry doing so much, so it's like, okay, well, we really have to look at that as a whole and go, okay, we all really need to work together. Because like if that's where who we're looking up to is at, what can, you know, not to like put ourselves down, but what could I do personally? It's a lot less impactful. But now it's like, what about myself and Tara, and yourselves, and the audience, and everyone else? And holy smokes, all of a sudden we're owning acres and acres and hectares. And like you said, one person's got this, another person's got that. So it's all going to be this kind of team building and working together / individually as well. You know, just doing this community networking is the way I see things coming together. But it's a lot of work individually as well, as like Tara and I are experiencing now, just trying to lock down some of these principles and techniques. So you got to put the work into it.
Yeah, very well said, Drake. I want to go back to chat for just a minute. Speaking, because because Dragonfly, Josh was saying, about the chat that I have and the audience that I have. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys, your comments are amazing today. So I need to come back and talk to you for a minute. Cheddar Bob says it's the speed at which things are happening, not that it's happening. 100%. That's what I agree. That's, why I don't like to feed chemicals to my plants, because that's force feeding them. It's like putting it in their vein. I don't want to do that. And so I need to let things happen naturally. We need to let our bodies grow naturally. If they have the right nutrients, they can do that. Our plants can do it as well. And so that's one thing I'm learning. What else do I missed something else. What about the methane? Well, like Josh has said, like, it's not really the methane. If the methane was spread out on grass pasture, it doesn't really do that. I lived on a 6-acre farm. I lived by how they do it. And back in the day, they went and they picked up the manure and they spread it. It's a field spreader. They put it on the field and they spread it out naturally. And we don't need the big chemical companies selling shit to us. We have our own shit. And like, I don't know, I get so mad and frustrated. It's time for a dab.
Well,
or whoever.
Just to quickly jump in, because this is a good one. If it's still on there, it's been on for quite a while, and it's really good for kind of the individual who's not super familiar with all this natural farming and the concepts. But I believe it's called Kiss the Ground with I think it was Woody Harrelson or something along the lines. But they go over all a lot of these kind of the entry level and the basic concepts and ideas behind this stuff. But one of the good things they touch on is this really large scale cow farming, let me call it, just for lack of better words. And same thing when they're moving them every single day and relocating them to certain pastures and letting the things come back in the right time and in the way it would essentially happen over nature, without there being just like 1,000 cows in this tiny little area. It is the opposite. I always say the wrong thing if it's carbon positive or carbon neutral or negative, but whatever the heck it is, it's the good one. Where usually in like conventional farming, it's let's go with negative for lack of knowledge. When we do it this way, it's actually positive, and we're reducing the amount that's spread out there when done correctly. So that's one of the huge things, and what Josh was touching on prior, and what Tara was saying as well. So it's quite cool and a neat concept. So that's a really good little thing to look, if it's still on Netflix. Kiss the Ground.
The one thing in Kiss the Ground that kind of makes me go like, ooh, is the whole PVC farm thing, guy. Like, I just don't understand that being in the movie at all. I love the Girl Scout cookie, all that, the regenerative farming, all that. But then there's this like PVC farmer guy, and I'm like, this is a disconnection. This is not supposed to be in the movie. And farming out of PVC just makes zero sense to me.
So like 1% of the movie?
That's okay. Well, but to me, I thought maybe it was more than that. But I really love Vandana Shiva, and she talks a lot about the small farmer. And we're talking about whether we're noticed by the big person or not, or whether that matters, or is that a sign of success, or is it actually successful to not be noticed by him, but the small farmer working together every single time in history outproduces the big dog. So the big dog thing is not a reality. It's a fake. It's sort of like, look at me,
like an illusion in the sense.
Look at me, I changed. Yeah. Oh, look at me, I changed, because I can't do what I'm saying I'm doing if I'm a corporation like that. That's why the one time you see a corporation that's large and they're successful, it's touted as this major success story. Oh my God, they had a huge farm and it was successful. It just is, it's a broken thing to go too big. I think it's the power is in community. That's why beehives matter. That's why ants are successful. That's why indigenous people tend to live together, because they're creating a safety for themselves, and they're occupying an area in a way that they can survive on and stuff. These are our teachings. This is what we came from. All of our genome, everything in our cells is programmed to live this way. They're trying to unravel us. It's not going to work because we have cannabis. They don't actually have cannabis. Their endocannabinoid system and their neurological system is not intact. They're fighting for their control. I think we need to just stay in our power, which is out of, you know, out of that as much as possible and together with each other and building up natural systems and natural farms and nature farms and carbon farms. One of our biggest successes this year is just getting weeds and hay or even ramial wood chips and putting them on the top layer of our soil and then just smothering it with another layer and planting in the top of the soil, and then all the roots shoot through the chips and the hay, and they go into this unbelievable wet thing, and now there's just this unbelievable vitality coming in the plants. That is my indigenous microorganism collection chamber. It's my bed. It's the bed that I'm growing in. I'm not secondarily trying to bring nutrients to my bed. We're accessing those things and pile layer mob farming them and capping them and growing out of them. And I'm really, really loving it. Some people grow cover crops and they knock them over and they use plastic on their cover crops for a week or two, and they melt the cover crop underneath it and turn it into dirt, and then they pull the plastic off. And that's a regenerative practice and an organic practice. And it's probably okay on some levels. I just
have to be anal with it, right? It sounds like there's a lot of you're not just throwing it out there and then pulling it up and balling it up and throwing it away and then using it once or twice and getting rid. You got like SOPs to this thing, right? You're cleaning this, you're making sure it's put away nicely, hung up, dry, lasting as long as possible, and keeping in mind it's only out for a week or two. And it's just like Josh said, just out there to melt, from my understanding, from hearing about it a little bit. So it was something that made me raise an eyebrow, and I don't know, it seems all right.
I don't like it because I don't think that it's very impressive to come out with plastic to melt something when it's gonna melt anyway.
And you've got your way that you just spoke of. That's this beautiful.
It just doesn't. It's just, I love people that are being innovative, but microplastics are just a thing, and it's just not
all they ever just a
it's
thing.
Just not
everything.
So this type of layer cake farming that we're doing here is just so rad. And the beds, like all of our aisles already are we're keeping them nice and moist, and then there's so much dirt there next year in our aisles. Oh my God, there's so much dirt. We've actually stopped. There's so much fertility in our area right now, and there wasn't before. So these practices, wow, do they add a lot of material. It's almost it's almost easy. I'm going to say this. It's almost really easy when you just surrender. It's different. You're not going to the store and buying a bag of soil. It's different. You surrender. And you find biology, you find compost, you find rich soil. It doesn't take a lot of soil in some gardens, there's probably 80% hay, and I very lightly mingle in dirt, just not much. And there's certain crops you can just grow out of, like strawberries. Wow. Or a potato in there, minimal dirt. By the next year, that whole entire thing is 100% soil. The whole, it's 1 year. I mean, you can build.
I'm so happy to hear
8 to 10 inches. Yeah, I'm just saying, people are oh, you're amazing. You're a self-sufficient farmer. Actually, it's kind of simple. You really need to put energy into it. That energy becomes your health. The food that comes out of it is better, becomes your health. The medicine that comes out of it is better, it becomes your health. Everything about the cycle, everything about the final product, everything about it is self-empowerment health. And the alternative is degrading your system or degrading the environment. It's actually a really easy, it's kind of an easy.
And spending a lot of money doing it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm saving time. I'm using chemicals. Hey, wait a minute. Have you priced out cancer lately?
I have.
But
it's cheaper to raise vegetables.
Exactly. Exactly.
It really is. And you know what? Fucking chemotherapy sucks. And you know, I don't know. You know, I'm not going to say anything, but anybody that's going through cancer right now, just please stop and smell the roses, because I just feel like I'm going to speak from my own experience. And if anybody can listen and maybe take a little bit from this, that I feel like when you're in the middle of cancer, you're freaked out because you hear the word, that C word, that nasty C word that you never thought you would hear in your whole life. And all you do is you really think that, oh my God, I'm going to die at first. That's the first words that go through. They say that nobody says this bullshit. You go, oh fuck, I'm going to die. And then, you know, you come to realization, what do you have? And then, you know, all that. But I feel like through it all, the doctors just push you. And they put you on all these drugs so that you're just a zombie and you'll just listen to whatever they want to push on you. And I feel like all of these medications that everybody's on, all of these psychomeds, all of these pharmaceuticals that you see at night, all these commercials that you see at night that are all like, oh God, make you feel better. You got to feel better every day. No, you don't need to feel better every day. Life, you aren't supposed to feel the same every day. That's what happens when you get on those pills. You feel the same, meaning you don't feel happy and you don't feel sad. Great, I don't feel sad, but I don't feel happy anymore either. I'm just this fucking zombie. And you just go through life and you listen to whatever anybody says. And you see people that do that. So if you can just take anything away, any experience I've had, if anybody wants to contact me, DM me, I will definitely share with you my personal story. And if anybody has any questions, because I think it's certainly important. And oh my gosh, Josh just had a freaking I can't even talk. A hummingbird fly by.
I just got buzzed by love. Love is what that represents in animal cards. Tara, I really appreciate you. I take a lot of inspiration from you, and those words coming from you are extremely powerful and so true.
Yes, and thank you so much for bringing that up and saying that, right? Because it takes a lot to talk about that. How many people, especially after going through something so traumatic, want to, you know, just the last thing they want to do is think about it or talk about it or bring it up. But again, just like with this movement as a whole, you want to put it out there, share experience, see this is what's worked for us, trial and tribulation, and hope the best for everybody. So I'll take another dab to that. That's for sure. It's beautiful, Tara. We all love you.
I'll take another dab to that, and I am going to unfortunately have to move on with my day, but let me get my smoke very quickly. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, what's your update? Do you want to give us a quick update, what you're doing today and what you got going on? And then we were going to let you go because actually it is perfect. We were actually going to dab out and leave. So we're
perfect.
Good.
Let me grab my my dabs really.
Okay, let's do it. And Drake, I got to get off this thing. I have some JMS that's ready and I've got to get it applied. I've got my last soil foundation going on today. On my plants, I'll be putting JMS, soap, and sunchoke. I did sunchoke, and I will be putting my JMS, all that information for you all out there. I don't actually know exactly. I have it all in my nice calendar here for me. And yeah, that's what I'll be doing. So I got to get out there because I only have probably a few hours left on that JMS. That looks amazing, Josh.
Time to make some more is what it looks like to me. Time to get out there and make some more. This is guava punch though from the Garden of Greece. Well, it's the seed came from him and then we grew it. I talked about it plenty, but the guava punch is really amazing. That's what I'm gonna go for.
Sounds amazing.
So yeah, I guess the big update on our farm is that it's beautiful. We do still have ambient wetness and have had good rains recently. We've put in a new water line to have more access to water on our property. We're in the middle of building a water box. We've built incredible rock walls. Sky's, been on the excavator. We've been terracing, sculpting, building walls, new beds, new hugel beds. I put in another nice mound bed. I was able to use a lot of the dimensional and a lot of the rubble at the bottom of our land is basically a big raw materials site.
Beautiful.
We have like
On that before.
3 or 4 different kinds of compost. We have a compost with made out of burdock. We have a compost made out of composted cow manure and hay. We have a wood chip sawdust compost pile with manure. We also have just another vegetation wood chip pile. And so whenever we're building a new bed, we sort of make an assessment of what type of vegetation or tree or bush we're going to grow in it. And then we use the appropriate compost or sticks or whatever it is. We also have, we live at the top of a 100-kilometer lake. So we have like spawning channels and stuff up here for kokanee, which are redfish. And they are like landlocked sockeye salmon. And there's spawning channels where they dig out and clean the spawning channel to like make it sweet for them. And then they pile up the silty, sandy fish waste soil. So we mix that with anytime we do a terrace, we're always mixing different materials from our zone. And we've never bought any, soil on our land for 15 years. So every single bit of soil, all 7 greenhouses, all 14 terraces are all 100% nature soil.
And that's
Beautiful.
And we're continuing that. So at the bottom of our hill, I just planted a bunch because we're a team of
Yes,
6.
definitely.
Planted elecampane, irises, chrysanthemums and stuff. So yeah, we're doing really good and just feeling thankful.
Well, that's beautiful. Thanks for joining us today, Josh.
Have a wonderful day.
you as well.
Thank you. We'll let you
We
take your
appreciate
dad.
you.
Much love to everyone else on the farm with you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bless up everyone out there. Thanks everyone for joining us again. We love each and every one of you. It's so awesome hanging out with Josh today. And Drake, I love spending time with you. We're gonna be hanging out again Wednesday morning. We'll be back again Wednesday morning. We're gonna commit to Wednesday mornings and Saturday mornings right now for y'all. And hope to see more of you. And if you'd like to join our chat or even join our panel, hope to see you back and contact me because you're definitely welcome to join us. And we'll have some interviews coming up, which will be a lot of fun too. So
Can't wait.
as always, peace and love, y'all. Cheers. See you next time.